stop. Right now, somewhere in this country, someone just got a bonus and did the responsible thing. They paid down their student loan early. They texted their partner. They felt like adults. They also just made the single most expensive financial decision of their year, and they have no idea. Here's what I mean. That same $5,000 thrown at a 4% student loan instead of a broad index fund, over 30 years, the opportunity cost isn't $5,000. It isn't $10,000. It's closer to $87,000. And the math isn't even close. And the worst part? The people making this mistake aren't financially irresponsible. They're doing exactly what they were told to do. They're following advice their parents gave them, that Dave Ramsey gave them, that every good with money influencer has been repeating for decades. But here's what none of them are telling you. The advice to always pay off debt first was designed for a different era, a different interest rate environment, and a fundamentally different economy than the one you're actually living in right now. And today, I'm going to show you the exact math, the psychology, and the threshold number that separates the people who build real wealth from the people who spend their 30s and 40s feeling financially responsible, but never actually getting ahead. Stay until the compound interest section, because the data I'm going to show you is going to make you genuinely angry. My name is Luke, and I spend way too much time thinking about the psychology of money and why smart people make financially devastating decisions without even realizing it. If you're someone who's been grinding to pay down debt but feels like you're running on a treadmill, working harder, paying more, but never actually building anything, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you out. It genuinely keeps this channel going. All right, let's get into it. Look, the conventional wisdom goes something like this. Debt is bad. Debt has interest. Interest costs you money. So eliminate debt as fast as humanly possible before you do anything else. And on the surface, that makes complete sense. But here's what most people don't realize. That logic has a giant gaping hole in it. And that hole has a name. It's called interest rate arbitrage. Now, don't let that phrase scare you. It's actually a very simple idea, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The core question is not, should I pay off debt? The real question is, what is my debt actually costing me compared to what my money could earn somewhere else? Because here's the thing, money is not neutral. Every dollar you own has an opportunity cost. When you take $5,000 and throw it at a loan, you're not just paying down debt. You're also choosing not to invest that $5,000. And that choice has a price tag, even if you never see the invoice. Now, and this is the part that's going to mess with your head. The decision that feels like the obvious right answer is almost always the wrong one. And I don't mean slightly wrong. I mean wrong by hundreds of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. But here's the catch. There is a number, one specific number, that tells you definitively which side of this decision you fall on. And I'd be willing to bet most people watching this video have never once looked it up. We're going to find out what that number is in about 2 minutes. And when I show you what it means for your actual loans, you might have a very different reaction than you're expecting. Let's get specific, because vague advice is useless. Say you have two things happening at the same time. You have a student loan at 5% interest, and you have access to an S&P 500 index fund that has historically returned an average of 10% per year over the last 50 years. That's not a made-up number. The S&P 500's average annual return from 1974 to 2024 is approximately 10.5% before inflation. So, your debt is costing you 5%. Your investment could be earning you 10%. If you have $500 a month to put somewhere, what do? Option A, aggressive debt payoff. You throw all $500 at your loan. You feel amazing. You're debt-free in 4 years. Then you start investing. Option B, minimum debt payments plus investing. You pay the minimum on your loan, let's say $150 a month, and invest the remaining $350 every single month. Now let's run the numbers over 30 years. In option A, you spend 4 years paying off debt, then 26 years investing $500 a month at 10%. After 30 years, you have approximately $987,000. In option B, you're investing $350 a month for all 30 years at 10%, while slowly paying off debt. After 30 years, you have approximately $791,000 in investments, plus the loan is paid off. Okay, so option A wins in this scenario, right? 987K beats 791K. But here's where it gets really interesting. What if your loan isn't at 5%? What if it's at 3%, which millions of people have with federal student loans or fixed mortgages locked in before 2022? Now, the math completely flips. And I need you to understand the scale of this. A Federal Reserve analysis found that American households are collectively sitting on approximately $12 trillion in mortgage debt and $1.7 trillion in student loan debt. The majority of that debt, especially mortgages taken before 2022, is locked in at rates between 2.5% and 4%. That means tens of millions of people are aggressively paying down debt that, mathematically, they should be holding on to. The collective opportunity cost of this mistake, at scale, runs into the trillions of dollars. Trillions! And it's driven entirely by a feeling, not a calculation. That 7-point gap between 3% debt and 10% investment returns means every dollar you redirect to early debt payoff is a dollar that loses you money in opportunity cost. And I want you to sit with that for a second. So how do you actually know what to do? Here's the rule of thumb that most financial advisors use, but somehow never make it into mainstream conversation. If your debt interest rate is below 6 to 7%, mathematically, you are likely better off investing rather than aggressively paying it down. If your debt interest rate is above 7 to 8%, paying it down aggressively often makes more sense, because at that point, the guaranteed return of eliminating high-interest debt starts to compete with or beat expected market returns. At 6 to 7%, that's genuinely the gray zone. Now, let me give you the real-world application of this. Let me tell you about two real people. Same income, same starting point, completely different outcomes. Person 1, let's call her Maria, had a $28,000 student loan at 4.2%. She threw every extra dollar at it for 6 years, paid it off completely, felt incredible, then started investing at 34. Person 2, let's call him James, had the same $28,000 loan at 4.2%. He made minimum payments and invested the difference starting at 28. He carried that loan for 10 years longer than Maria. His friends thought he was being reckless. At 55, Maria's portfolio was worth approximately $410,000. James's portfolio was worth approximately $780,000. Same income, same loan. James just understood one number that Maria didn't. So here's a question I want you to actually answer right now. Not keep scrolling, not save for later. What is the interest rate on your biggest debt? Not around 5%, the exact number. Because everything I'm about to tell you in this video is useless unless you know that number. Pause this video if you need to. Look it up. I'll wait. Here's how to use it. Federal student loans from 2019 to 2020 average rate around 4.5%. Mathematically, invest instead. A fixed-rate 30-year mortgage from 2021, average rate around 3.1%. Almost certainly, invest aggressively instead. Credit card debt at 22% APR. Pay that off immediately. Full stop. No investment in the world gives you a guaranteed 22% return. Car loan at 7.5%? Gray zone. Paying it off makes sense if you want simplicity and peace of mind. Here's something that almost nobody talks about. When you hold low-rate debt in an inflationary environment, your lender is actually losing money on you in real terms. A 3% loan during 4% inflation means the bank is effectively paying you 1% per year to borrow their money in purchasing power terms. You're not just breaking even,
you are winning.